Hey, today's August 5th. I'm not in my usual filming spot. I just wanted to film this quick update because I kind of want to, I guess, document this move, what it's like moving when you're in autistic burnout. And that's the reality of it. I am amidst the chaos. I don't know if I can show you what this room looks like at the moment. But yeah, I didn't have the energy to do the usual setup to record because I'm exhausted, and that I want to show what it's like being in autistic burnout. I've been in it now for 5 months. About 5 months. And as I said in my previous video, we are moving, so it's not always easy. Finding the energy to do all that. Hang on, let me find a comfortable position, kind of halfway sitting, halfway laying down. Like, honestly, like, forgive the double chin, forgive the, like, this is as good as it's gonna get, because I literally have no energy, and this is, like, the only way I can film anything right now. Also, my phone has only about 20% battery left, so, yeah, I just wanted to take a minute to give an update. So today's Monday, and we just had a 3-day weekend. My partner wasn't working on Friday, so for the last 3 days we've been packing non-stop, and we've made a lot of progress, which I'm very happy about. And actually, these past couple days, I felt like I had more energy, I didn't feel too bad. And last night I had some anxiety. Because obviously it's always stressful to move. It's even more stressful when you're moving abroad, which is our case. And it's even more stressful when you're autistic, and it's even more stressful when you're in autistic burnout. So all of that combined is the perfect combination of stressful factors. But yeah, it's been tricky because we're supposed to move in less than a month, but nothing is set in stone yet. Like, we haven't been able to book any of the movers or anything like that because we were waiting for some people to get back to us with their availability. And like, it's like the snowball effect. Like, you can't do this until you've done that, and you can't do that until you've done this, and so on. And so we've been like stuck for days waiting to hear back from people on their availability and trying to work it out, trying to time things well, because like, we're traveling from the UK, England, all the way to France. So we have to cross the channel, and we have 2 cats, and we have our stuff. So there's gonna be people moving our stuff, and then we'll be traveling with the cats. And then, you know, we have to book the end of tenancy cleaning and all that stuff. And so it's about figuring out what's the best way to travel with the cats. Initially, we thought we were gonna fly, but it sounds very stressful, and yeah, we're not sure we want to handle all of that. So instead, we're looking at doing it by road, and so we're looking at different taxi and transport services, pet transport services, and it's been a struggle because it's difficult to find one that is available during the date that we're looking to move, because we have to be at the new house on the 1st of September. So yeah, it's a whole thing. I'm not gonna start explaining everything, but basically it's been a lot of waiting and a lot of uncertainty, and having to wait to book everything, and having the clock ticking and being like, you know, it's stressful. And so I had quite a bit of anxiety last night, and then I didn't sleep very well. Had some nightmares of my narcissistic parents, which I've talked about at length on this channel. As part of my complex PTSD, I regularly dream about my parents, usually in a not so positive way. So I didn't sleep very well, and then this morning I thought I would call one of the, you know, pet transport services that we had been waiting to hear from, because they were supposed to get back to us this weekend, but obviously they didn't. So I had to call them this morning, and if you're autistic, you know how much of a struggle it can be to make phone calls. Phone calls I can do them, but they take an awful lot out of me. And the guy I talked to wasn't very nice. He wasn't very professional, to be honest, and he kept like criticizing his competitors and criticizing our decisions to like move at the last minute according to his what. And I was like, that's not even any of your business. Like, can you do this or not? If you can't, I'll go look elsewhere. But he like kept making comments, and he really pissed me off, to be honest. And so then I was really angry and frustrated because yeah, it didn't work out for many reasons. And then we had to find another solution and stuff, and then we thought we would call my mother-in-law to try and what's the word I'm looking for? Brainstorm all of that and figure out a solution. And we ended up being on the phone with my mother-in-law for about 3 hours, which is a long time. And although it was a very casual phone call, and we talked about lots of things, not just the move, but although it was quite casual, and it was it was a pretty positive phone call interaction overall. By the end of it, I was completely exhausted, and then I only had the energy to basically like take myself to the living room and lay on the sofa, and that's what I've been doing ever since. And I literally feel like a vampire came in and sucked the life out of me. I don't know how to explain it. It's not just feeling tired, it's like there is no energy left in my muscles, even. Like, it's difficult to move. It's difficult to breathe almost, because like breathing is an effort, feels like a huge effort right now. It's ridiculous. Like, right now, I am filming. I don't really have the energy to film, but I wanted to record those moments when I'm not full of, I wanted to record what it's like being in burnout. And sometimes I want to keep it real and like record what it's like being in burnout. And honestly, right now, I feel like shit. And I'm filming this video even though I don't really have the energy to do it. And so I'm gonna pay the price later on. And I feel very self-critical right now because I'm looking at myself on my phone, and I don't like what I'm seeing. And I'm being very self-critical, and it's depressing. But I knew this move was gonna be difficult. I knew it wasn't gonna be easy doing this while in burnout, but like I said in my last video, I didn't really have a choice, so I'll make it. I'll survive. It's not my first time moving while in burnout. I've been moving in burnout before, but maybe I wasn't as tired as I am now. This is definitely like the most exhausted I've ever felt in my entire life. These past few weeks, months. It's really frustrating sometimes. As I'm sure if you have any kind of disability or chronic illness, the frustration that comes with not feeling in full control of your body because you're exhausted or because you have other health issues, it can be really frustrating because it feels like your illness or your disability, your neurodivergence, takes control of your life, and you can't do all the things you want to do. And when it lasts for months or even years, in some cases, it can be really disheartening because you see the world move on around you and you're stuck behind. Well, that's what it feels like. And like, I haven't really been able to exercise in months because I just don't have the energy. I'll try doing like 10 minutes of yoga and I can't even finish it, even though in the past when I wasn't in burnout, I was able to do 30 minutes of intense yoga every day, no problem. Or I was able to take a walk every day. Like, right now I have to decide like between like taking a shower or doing the dishes. I can't do both, you know what I mean? And like these past 3 days I did a lot of packing, and then today I couldn't do any packing because I had those 2 phone calls that took everything out of me. And now I have to This is the next day. Don't mind how I look. I basically just got out of bed not so long ago. So yesterday, as you just saw, I kind of couldn't keep talking past a certain point. Yesterday was really tough. As I said, I had this phone call in the morning with a really annoying guy, and then after that, a 3-hour long casual conversation with my mother-in-law, and that literally killed me. Afterwards, I felt like, you know, I didn't have any energy left in my body. It was hard to even move, you know, and talk and even breathe. Like I could feel like the energy that was required for my lungs to inflate and deflate, you know what I mean? And then I had a huge rush of like anxiety, which you kind of saw in my last clip, because I had to stop recording because I was way too anxious. I was struggling to breathe, and yeah, so I definitely had a panic attack type thing happening. I actually went to bed at like 4 p.m., something like that. And stayed in my room until this morning, so I didn't come down. I really needed to rest and try and regulate, so it took a good few hours of listening to ASMR, stimming, processing what I was feeling. My partner even gave me a massage, because that can really help to relax. And like, I tried to rest, and then in the evening I was like, I can't watch anything I don't know, because we've been binge watching season 2 of House of the Dragon. We've been waiting for weeks for every episode to be released so that we can binge watch it. But yesterday I felt like I was already, like, my brain was already so overstimulated, and I was already so anxious and overwhelmed that I felt like any new information would be too much for my brain to handle. So I was like, I need to watch something I already know, a movie I already know, so that there's no new information for my brain to process. And yeah, and I read a lot, and I actually went to sleep pretty late considering it was past midnight. Because the anxiety sometimes, even if you're really tired, if you're really anxious, it will keep you from actually resting because I guess you have, I guess maybe I was in fight or flight, and so there was a lot of adrenaline in my body, and like it was hard to settle down and rest, if you will. Felt kind of restless, But after a few hours, I managed to, and I did breathing exercises as well. After a few hours, I managed to calm down a bit. But that was wild. That was so wild. And then in the evening, we tried to book a few things for the move, because there were some things that we had to book for the move that were like, there weren't many places available, on certain types of transportation, whatever. So we had to do that, and just the mere action of doing that, I could tell like my brain was fried, because I did it for like 5-10 minutes, and then I was like, I told my partner, like, I can't focus on anything, I can't think straight, I can't make decisions right now, like I can't do this tonight. Like I felt like I had given it all yesterday, and it didn't feel like I had done much. I didn't even do any packing, just that stupid phone call with that stupid man, and then a 3-hour long conversation with my mother-in-law. But because I'm in burnout, that's enough to kill me. I like to say kill me because that's how it felt, like I was dying yesterday. It was not nice, but I made it. Here I am. I survived. I survived another day. So I'm gonna try and take it easy today, because I don't want to reiterate what happened yesterday. Yeah, I have to really be, I still struggle to listen to myself sometimes, or even just to know what my needs are, or to know what my needs are, or to know my limits, I still don't always, like, there's a conflict of interest between what I think I can do and what I feel like I need to do or I want to do, and sometimes it's hard to find a balance between all that. So anyway, but something I've realized with this move, that having an autism diagnosis makes easier to understand, is my struggles with change. So I've always kind of struggled with change, but it used to be stronger when I was younger. I want to say up until like, I feel like I developed a tolerance for change, kind of, in over the last few years, as my life got increasingly healthier, like my life circumstances. I feel like my intolerance with change was definitely worse back when my life circumstances weren't good for me, because I was so close to my parents, or just my lifestyle just didn't suit my needs. I feel like, being in circumstances that don't agree with you, that don't fit your needs as an autistic person, can definitely make your autistic traits worse, if you will, because obviously you're going to have more meltdowns, you're going to stim more because you're going to be more stressed, and you're going to rely more strongly on your special interests because they're like your survival mechanism, you know what I mean? So whereas when you're in comfortable circumstances, you're not as stressed on a daily basis, you're still gonna have all these things, but you're not gonna rely on them so heavily because or they're not gonna show so much because you don't need them as much. I think it was, I can't remember, I think it was someone on Reddit who put a quote from a book. I'll see if I can find it, where essentially the author was saying how the autism diagnosis criteria that's in the DSM-5, the things they use to diagnose us, basically only describes, like, it doesn't describe actual autistic traits. It describes, I think the way she put it was, autistic distress symptoms. And that, you know, that's why some of us aren't diagnosed, is, for example, that's what I understand from it, that's my take, is if you've managed to build a life around your needs and you aren't as stressed all the time or uncomfortable, then your autistic traits aren't going to be as visible, and so you might not get diagnosed, even though you're just as autistic as this other person who is very distressed a lot of the time, and so will show more outward autistic traits. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is that was definitely me as a teenager, young adult, until I, you know, distanced myself from the toxic people in my life, and I kind of built this life around my needs. I was under a lot of stress and discomfort, and so I struggled with change more than I do now. But sometimes I do struggle with change still. And this move is a good example of that. And obviously, like, the move in itself is one really big change, and that's always stressful, but it can be stressful to anyone, you know. But what I want to talk about specifically is all the little changes involved in the process of making this move happen. So because we have to move all of our stuff to the new house in France and move ourselves and our cats and like juggle all of that, we've had to make lots of changes. We've had to basically every day change our plans, because initially we wanted to fly there with the cats, but then we realized it wasn't gonna be a good fit for us. So then we thought we would book a pet taxi to take us from here all the way to France, but then it didn't work out. So now yesterday we figured out a new solution and stuff, and so it keeps changing, it keeps evolving. And so for someone who's not autistic, maybe, or my partner is autistic, he doesn't struggle with that like I do, it might be easier for someone else, because they're like more flexible, more easygoing. For me, it's like every time we make one of these, even like seemingly small changes, like, oh no, we realize that these times aren't gonna align, so we're not gonna be able to take this train after all, so we're not gonna get there at this time. We'll have to, you know, it's like my brain has to recalibrate everything because I had this plan in my head and now it's changing again. And it feels like I have no control. And it freaks me out. And that contributes to all this anxiety I've been having. So, you know, you might look at the move and be like, oh yeah, you're autistic, you're gonna be stressed because you're changing houses. And I'm like, yeah, but surprisingly, that I've had time to wrap my head around. It's been months, if not, you know, a couple of years since my partner and I have wanted to move. And, you know, it's been a long time in the making. And it was like, we found a house, signed the lease, boom. There was no stuttering, there was no change in the middle. It was clear, it was, you know, and that didn't bother me so much. Obviously, it's gonna be, I'm gonna need like a transition period because we've been living here for over 2 years, and then we're gonna get to this new house that we've never seen in person and have to settle down there and start our new life there. So it's gonna be a big change, and it's gonna take me probably weeks to get used to it. But the anxiety I've been feeling these past few days is really around those small changes. It's that thing of like not having any certainty for the near future, having to, especially something as stressful and crucial as, you know, a move. Like it's a lot of things to consider, and it's a big undertaking, and there's lots of, you know, so it is stressful in itself, especially being in burnout, not knowing how I'm gonna handle all that when the time comes. At least I can find some comfort in certainty, you know, in having like a plan that's not gonna budge, where I can like mentally prepare myself for every step and like, you know, plan things ahead of time. But with this changing every 5 minutes and it's in less than a month, it's really hard for me because I'm like, I have no certainty. When I think we've made a decision, then it has to change for some reason. And it's just every time, like I said, my brain has to recalibrate and make new plans. And, you know, it's difficult to do for the monotropic brain, changing focus like that, and not having certainty. So that's been tough. So I can't wait for everything to be set in stone and everything to be booked, and so that we, you know, we know exactly what we're gonna do at which time, you know, and so it doesn't change anymore, and then I'll feel a sense of peace and relief. But until then, yes, it's a struggle, and it's hard for people who don't experience that to understand and have compassion. And in the past, I didn't, when I didn't know I was autistic, I would have these struggles and I didn't know what they were. And so I couldn't really communicate to other people what was going on, and I would feel really bad about myself. Whereas now I'm like, you know, yesterday I told my partner, I was like, you know, all these last minute little small changes we make, that contributes to my anxiety because of my autism. and it's a lot easier to put it into words that way, and like have a better understanding of. I still struggle very much with these things, but at least I know why, you know. So yeah, it's been great being able to understand myself better, and be able to communicate how I'm feeling to others a bit better. Because like I said, like my partner is also autistic, but he doesn't struggle with that as much. He doesn't. He also struggles with change in his own way, but not in the same way as I do. And yeah, so we definitely like that. Just I think our relationship is a good illustration of the diversity of autistic people, because well, he also has ADHD, I don't, so that makes a difference. But it's crazy how we, in some ways, we're very similar, like in the anxiety that we feel around socializing, for example. But like we're also so different. Like our autistic mask doesn't look the same. um his autistic traits aren't the same as me, you know. There are things he doesn't struggle with as much that I really struggle with, and vice versa. So we're very, very different. And so him being autistic doesn't necessarily, like in some cases he really understands what I'm going through without me having to explain. And some of the times like this, he doesn't struggle with that at all. So I have to explain to him like, hey, this is why I've been stressed. And like, yeah, he won't necessarily get it until I explain it to him, because he doesn't experience it, you know. So yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about. I'm really trying to look after myself as much as possible, um, ahead of this move, because it's gonna be a lot. And I'm just, I really want to avoid being exhausted or having meltdowns or being super anxious throughout the move, if possible, because that wouldn't be great. So yeah, so yeah, I'm gonna try and prepare myself for that by resting as much as possible, trying to keep my anxiety under control. And once we have a plan that is set in stone, I'll be able to like prepare myself mentally for that, and bring everything I need and stuff to just make it a little bit easier for myself. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. And then, you know, once we've moved into the new house, I'll be able to rest then. I'll take a few months of doing nothing. So yeah, I hope it's gonna be okay. Like I said, it's not my first time moving while in Autistic Burnout, but it's my first time moving while in Autistic Burnout knowing I'm autistic. So that's gonna make a positive difference, I hope. I'll keep documenting this, if I can, and I'll see you when I see you.